We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you,
good evening, welcome along to a pre-recorded version of NUFC Matters. It is Talking to Toon with me, Sid, from Songs from the Attic 1977. You okay, Sid?
Very good, mate. Yourself?
All good, mate. We will be joined by Rob halfway through the show as normal to delve into a bit of music. But first of all, let's have a bit of a chat about Newcastle United and what's been happening over the last 7 days. And as Biffer at NUFC.com described it, a bit of a Tokyo drift in the last game against Yokohama F. Marinos, and Newcastle losing by 2-0. Wow, the heat alone in that game must have been unbearable for Newcastle's players to play, and it was in excess of 30 degrees at one point, and the humidity was ridiculous. But a bigger crowd to go and watch that game, 38,500 there in the 67,500 capacity stadium, and a very I would say a comfortable game for the hosts who are playing in the J League, probably slightly below their usual position in the J League, it has to be said. But Newcastle, as always, putting out a strong enough team. I guess the notable addition was Bruno, who is now picking up his fitness, getting ready for the big kickoff, and he had the captain's armband. We'll come to that later on. But there was run-outs again for Hall, Livramento, Shaw, Kelly. Great to see Kelly, done in the black and white shirt, meaning his fitness is now on the way to Eddie Howe levels. Longstaff again, Joe Linton, Barnes, Almiron and Isaac the starting lineup, and Vlachodimos as well was in goal. Nick Pope on the bench came on at half time. We had Harrison Ashby, of course, who went out on loan last season. He had a run out. Emil Kraft, Dan Byrne. Somebody who has certainly taken his chance, and again we can discuss that. Sanusi, the appliance of science from Sanusi. Certainly somebody who has come on and taken the bull by the horns. Jacob Murphy had a great pre-season. He came on for Barnes. Young Parkinson had a run out as well. Lewis came on as well. Jamal Lewis, who has again seen a little bit of action in pre-season. Alfie Harrison came on for Joe Linton, and Turner Cook came on for Sanusi. Sanusi, though, playing 88 minutes. But yeah, overall, Elba and Amano's goals, 34 minutes, 51 minutes, was the difference between the two teams. For me, it's academic what you do in the pre-season friendlies. You can lose them all for me, as long as you win your first game. What was your thoughts overall about the trip to Japan, though, Sid, and how we've been received out there?
Fab. It's a great PR exercise, isn't it? Obviously as well, most importantly, getting the players fit as well. But we've got to really make inroads into sort of the Far East market. And it's something we're going to have to get used to. I know Eddie Howe's not a huge fan of doing stuff like that, but unfortunately, that's the way of a modern football. team. All the big teams do it. All the teams have to travel. One year you might be in America. The next year you might be sort of over in Japan or wherever. Next year you might be sort of, I don't know, like you might do Scandinavia, But you've got to be prepared to travel, and that's just the nature of the beast. And I thought it was really good. Nice to see a number of Japanese fans who are Newcastle fans. It's great to see. I love all of that. And the sheer excitement and the passion. I saw wore flags, hand over a flag to a couple of the Japanese flags, and one of the fans and one of the kids was crying, and that it was really, really lovely to see. Very emotional, really nice. They're really proper hardcore fans. They're singing the songs, which is great. I love all that. So I think it's great. And I said last week, the benchmark will be the next time we go over. How many more fans will be there? That's got to be the sort of we've got the base mark now. We know the number of fans we've roughly got. Next time we go there, we've got to try and fill the stadiums out, because 13,000 is nothing last week, was it? And 30, whatever it was this week's not bad. We know Man United, Liverpool, maybe Arsenal as well would have sold it out. We've got to be able to compete with those teams and get that fan base as well. And we can only do that is by winning games, playing attractive football, and wanting clubs to support you. So yeah, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. It's as you say, the results are not massively important. You don't want to get tonked, but you want to be, just build up your fitness. And anybody who's played football, playing in the heat and humidity in particular is a mare. I mean, the humidity was something ridiculous. I think it was above 80%, wasn't it? That's almost impossible to play in. It's just stupidly hot. So I can absolutely understand the players getting taken off at half time and have a new set of players coming on, because it's just stupid. Unless you're used to those conditions, it's nigh on impossible to do, especially at the beginning of a season. So yeah, great exercise overall. And what's nice as well, it seems that Howe seems to have mixed things up. He's changed the formations a little bit. He's changed the personnel. Some seem to have done all right. Lewis, for example, seems to have had a decent pre-season. So is he in the running now as an additional squad player? We don't know. Others have maybe proven that they're not quite up to that level and might go on loan and not come back as well. I'm not going to go and name names because it's not really fair with some of them. But some of the younger ones who maybe not cut the mustard quite, And then you've got the others like Sanusi, who looks like he's going to be a star. But let's not build too much on the young kid, because he's very, very young. But he clearly has the potential. He just seems to glide past people. He's got a bit of an Eze look to it in terms of the fact that he just drifts past players very easily. Very impressed with his sort of style, very sort of silky skills. So yeah, I'm impressed by him a lot.
Yeah, I think with Sanusi, he's become one of those players who, again, the media will jump on him next, but social media has jumped on him. Everyone's giving him the big legs. But yeah, look, he looks comfortable in amongst his peers, and that's the starting point. But
that's exactly that.
He's got to keep his feet. He's got to keep his feet on the ground as well, Sid. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, the same with Alfie Harrison as well, isn't it? They might make it, they might not, Steve, and we just. I believe that the director of football, Mitchell, he's got something along the lines. He's going to try and get 2 new players in from the youth teams into the first team every year. Now, that's a very admirable thing to do. Brilliant. I mean, Chelsea seem to have done it over the years, so I can't see why it's not possible. And if you're going around snapping up all the top or a lot of the top talent, should I say, sorry, then yeah, I think that's very realistic. That's very, very realistic.
Yeah, I would agree. I think as well, we've seen it already with Minty. Minty didn't play for us, but he went on loan and had such a great season last season by his own standard. I mean, he's got a dust collector, which a lot of these players at the club haven't got at this moment in time. So for him, it was well worth going out on loan. It's got him a great move, and I'm sure he'll do quite well at Brighton.
I think he will do well, and there's no point in the fans wetting themselves over and crying about it. We've never seen him, we never had him, and it's just one of them things, and it's a shame. But it is what it is, and we have to sort of get through it. We have to try and get through the PSR farce, if you like. And so, unfortunately, him and Elliot Anderson were the sacrifice. And that's the way it is. It's not great, but, You know, we don't have the financial spend power at the moment, and it's obvious. I'm obviously stating the bleeding obvious, if you like, but we don't have the financial clout, if you like, at the moment coming in. So, you know, that's one of the things we've had to do. It might happen again. We don't know. But, you know, they know what I think they know what they're doing. I think last year was a real wake-up call with regards to all that as well. So I'm hoping we're not really forced into that scenario. But we shall see. We shall see that. But overall, going back to the Japan thing, fantastic, really good. Nice run out, as you see, Murphy. I'm a big fan of Murphy. I think he gets a lot of grief. Nice to see him sort of doing really well. His figures last year were really good, really good. People need to go and check out when he played full games. He had really good figures. Yes, he seems to be one of these guys who does one good game, one bad game. So you could certainly see his consistency is not great, but 1 and 2 is pretty decent, I would say. And Lloyd Kelly, nice to see him. He looked very sort of assured, I thought. He's quick. He's got everything. One of the things I want to bring up, if you don't mind, is everyone's talking about Botman and saying, oh, if we get this, that, and we get the other, and we get this other guy centre half, well, it's going to be a great line, you know, back four. Absolutely agree. However, my personal view is if Lloyd Kelly lives up to the potential, and talking to the odd Bournemouth fan, he's possibly a bigger potential player than Botman. He's quicker. He's really good on the ball, reads the game superbly. I don't think it's as straightforward as Botman just walks back into the team when fully fit. I really don't. However, my little caveat is I think Lloyd Kelly will start as left back. That's what I think will happen at the beginning of the season. I don't think it's right, but I think that's what will happen. Because Eddie Howe likes a bit of height, doesn't he? You know, and I suspect that's what will happen. Whereas I'd play the young lad Hall, and I'd have Kelly as left centre half. Sorry. But I suspect that's what will happen. I think Dan Burn will start. And I'm not denigrating Dan Burn because I thought he was excellent last season when he switched to centre half. He was top draw, so he'd be very, very unlucky to lose his place. But the one thing, and I keep harping on about it, that we do need is pace in the back four, and Kelly's got tons of it. So that's my view anyway. Nice to see him play, though. And the Japanese thing overall, brill. Really, really good. Really good.
I think the big thing again from the game was Bruno. You know, obviously I mentioned him at the top of the program. You know, and he put this out on his social media channels. I'm very happy to be starting another season with this club that has done so much for me since my first day here. I'm glad to be back, more prepared than ever to have a brilliant season and to help Newcastle reach the highest possible position. Another dream has come true. Being the captain of this team is everything I've always dreamed of but never imagined. We're in this together, and I'm sure I'll be more dedicated than ever to this badge. If ever there was a statement to say that he's staying at the club, it's that one. I think that really passed over a few weeks back anyway, but it's great to hear him talk about it. The captain thing interests me. Is he captain material? Would you like to see him wearing the armband if we go into the season and Trippier isn't in that team or has departed? And obviously we know Lascelles won't be fit. So is Bruno a good captain in your eyes?
He could be. Why not? I mean, is Trippier guaranteed to start every game next season? Definitely not. He may start 50% of the games. Therefore, you'd want somebody who's going to start every game, and Bruno is the obvious candidate. Yeah, I think he proved himself last season when he got all those yellow cards and then went so many games without a booking. I mean, you'd have put your mortgage on him being booked, wouldn't you? And he didn't, and so we'd have all lost. And so that proves he's got something. He's clever enough to know what not to do sometimes, you know. So it may be something that makes him a better player. Some players thrive on captaincy. I mean, Steven Gerrard's a prime example. Graham Souness going back further, you know, and other great footballers. Some of them thrive on it. For others, it's too big a weight around the neck, and they really struggle with it. But if you look at it, Newcastle have got a number of players who were captains at other clubs as well. Botman was a captain. Tonali was a captain. Kelly was a captain. So Eddie Howe likes to bring in a number of players who have been captaincy and got that sort of ethic about them, that something special about them. So, which is great, obviously. So there are a number of contenders. I mean, you could argue Big Joe would be a shout. It'd be very hard not to see so. I mean, my personal choice, but again, he might not start every game, would be Shea. I always prefer centre half being a captain, if I'm being honest. But a centre mid's obviously the other option as well. I don't like seeing centre forwards as captain, and I don't ever want to see a goalkeeper as a captain. But personally for me, it's always centre half or midfielder. It's one of those two positions I like to see as a captain, because traditionally, not always, they've often been the best captains when you look back at previously great captains of teams. John Terry, for example, or players of that ilk, Tony Adams and so on and so forth. They've all been terrific captains. And for me, as I've mentioned recently, the best captain I've seen from my perspective playing, from my time of going, was Barry Venison. So, and again, sweeper, sometimes right back, sometimes centre half, depending on wherever they decide to put him. But he was a fabulous captain. And Trippier's another one, of course, plays right back, of course, but somewhere along that line. Bruno will be great. And he's clearly put his card out there. He's clearly put the message out, I want to be captain. I don't have a problem with that at all. Don't have a problem with that at all. Gordon maybe puts himself in there as vice captain. In terms of the maturity, I think he's shown over the last year. So that could be another position that we could go with. But we'll see. But yeah, don't have a problem with that at all. Don't have a problem with that. But I would change it this year. I would change it. And I personally, as I've said already, I don't think Trippier will be here at the beginning of September. And therefore, we will need a new captain anyway. And obviously, Lascelles is unfortunately out for however long, and he may never play again anyway. We genuinely don't know for Newcastle. So yeah, all in favour of it, absolutely. Yeah, could you imagine if we had a Brazil 1 and 2 in terms of captain and vice captain? Could you imagine that, like in the late 80s when we were talking about that and watching some of the dross that we watched, thinking that we were two midfielders from Brazil who are captain and vice captain? It's incredible, isn't it? It's really remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, we're old enough to remember Mirandinha, of course, coming to Newcastle and being the first Brazilian to play in English football. So we've got a little bit of a thing going with Brazilians, which is great. I mean, obviously we've had the best and the worst. Schumacher, of course.
Schumacher, brilliant.
I mean, look, the Japan trip for me was great, commercially a success, and like you say, if we do go back, it'll be interesting to see, if Newcastle have won a trophy, how different things are. But the passion shown by the Japanese supporters was really what got me. You mentioned the war flags thing where they were presented with their own flag, and I just loved it, and they were singing the songs and getting right into it. And like I said, credit to some of the other YouTubers who stumped up the money and went out there and captured some great stuff. Some of the journalists who put some stuff on their channels as well. It was good to see, and I mean, it just follows on from successful Champions League games. And of course, the trips away to Saudi Arabia, the trips to America, of course, as well. All of these trips are, working towards the same goal, which is making Newcastle United, a household name, in different continents and different countries, and that's very important moving forward if you're going to classify yourself as a big football club. And it was great, and I heard Eddie Howe in his interviews. There was clearly issues for the players, I guess. Travel for one thing, but these are the things you've got to put up with, unfortunately. And should we qualify for Europe again, Champions League or other competition, we're going to have to get back to that. So for me, I think doing these kind of trips abroad are important. I know some people thought that the Australian trip was crazy, A, because the Euros were on the horizon, and B, because it's right at the end of the season. The players just want to spend time with their family and then come back to do pre-season. But we've got to do these things. It's all about spreading the good word of Newcastle United, and that's it. It's as simple as that. Yeah,
absolutely agree. You just have to get on with it. I tell you what continent does never seem to have football teams going there, and that's South America. I don't know if it's because of the protection situation.
Maybe.
But that's the only continent that seems not to have teams travelling. That's probably an untapped market.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I'm sure if it's something that Newcastle United feel is worthy, they'll probably have that on their list. But it'll be interesting to see where they go next. And of course, we've got the Sela Cup coming up this weekend. Looking forward to the Sela Cup in lots of different ways. It's a great opportunity, though, Sid, for for people who don't get a chance to go to St James's Park to go to the match. Pre-season friendlies, I've got to be honest, they're not my cup of tea. I do like going to the odd away one if I can, because for me it's great just to go to a ground that maybe you haven't been to before, or get a chance to go to a ground that you haven't been to for a long time. The St James's Park Sela Cup, again, a good opportunity to get young supporters in. Maybe he's going for that first game and giving them an opportunity of going to St James's Park and seeing it in all its glory, because the full signs are going up once again at St James's Park. It's an opportunity that some will miss out on again this season. Yeah,
and we've said already, haven't we, that it's a perfect opportunity for young families to go. They've made it reasonably priced as well, so well done to the club, which you've mentioned. So absolutely fab. And it's great for the young kids to go to their first games and get to see the players. And it's great for How never plays the first 11. He never plays the first 11 in the Sela Cup. He seems to play half on one game and half in the other. And obviously to try and dupe the opposition in the first home game. So last season for Villa, we were all trying to guess what the team was and working out which formation of the various lineups was he going to go with. He said it was interesting to see. I was at the Sela Cup last year, but it'll be interesting to see. It's clearly, I think they've struggled selling tickets, so I don't think people are going to struggle to be able to get a ticket. And that's probably go back into the fact that in terms of playing wise, these teams are perfect for the club because they've both qualified for Champions League, but they're not big clubs that they're playing against, apart from the women, of course, who've got AC Milan. And I was looking, it came up on my feed today. It was so many years ago, pre-season friendly, we're against Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of opposition you really want to see. Can you imagine if we were playing Bayern Munich? You'd probably sell out St James's Park for a friendly.
Yeah.
I think you would sell it out. And therefore, if you were to pay them enough money to have come over and played, I think it would have been a great way of doing things. There are certain clubs that will help sort of sell numbers, Real Madrid or whatever it might be, or one of the big European giants or whoever. So I think they've missed a trick. Yes, playing wise, it probably works out great for Newcastle because, as I say, they are going to be playing teams that have done really well last season, have qualified for Champions League. So neither of these teams are mugs. They're really good teams, and they are going to be a real test, which is what we need. But financially, we've probably missed a trick. But I'm sure everyone will have a good time. It should be a good event, and as I say, it's very, very reasonably priced. And it's, as I said the last time, there's nothing nicer than being at the match and seeing somebody bringing their young kids in, and the kids are thrilled in that sheer enjoyment when they're in awe as they see the size of the ground and all the rest of it. And it's fabulous to see. And when the players come out and the kids are bouncing up and down and the sheer thrill of it all, it's lovely to see from a parental perspective. Love it. And it just reminds you of that first time when, obviously not the state of the ground now, but with that first time that you went there and you saw the ground, and although it was a ramshackle mess when I went, but sort of, that again, the sense of awe when you first got through the turnstiles, it was in the Gallagher, and you look at the corner, and you look, wow, look at this, isn't that amazing? So yeah, great, love it, man, absolutely love it. So yeah, it's a great opportunity for families, and it should be a big family affair. And the Stack's open as well, of course.
Yeah, that opens on Thursday, doesn't it? I think.
So that'll be really nice as well. So some of them get the opportunity to use the Stack as well. So it's a whole big package, if you like. Great stuff. And the club will do well on strips as well. They'll sell a number of strips on the day also. So hopefully it'll be a huge success.
In other news, Newcastle have taken a big step forward as well to increase their revenue and to improve their global reach. They've partnered with a big media company. So those of you who've been watching the Newcastle United friendlies in Japan on the new streaming service, it's been provided by Endeavour Streaming. Obviously, they've got now the potential to help the club engage with supporters around the world, and that again is something which we've lacked. The plans that Endeavour have got are really, really interesting. The new service is going to show full match highlights, which is great. There's going to be player interviews which aren't available to anyone else, and there's also going to be behind the scenes documentaries. And interesting interview with Dan Ginger, who's the director of brand marketing and digital media at Newcastle, and he was just, basically saying that the implementation of Endeavour streaming is another step forward in our commitment to bringing fans closer to the club, providing an unparalleled digital experience and ensuring our supporters have got seamless access to exclusive content and live matches. This is a major stride forward. And of course, something else that Newcastle United are going to be doing is actually having an app, which, seems crazy in this day and age that we're talking about a football club in the Premier League of Newcastle stature that hasn't had an app. But they are going to have an app as well. So lots of things happening, which is, again, giving us more content and, getting to know our club a lot more.
No, it's great. Everything like that, getting into the 21st century. As I say, I had my gripe last week regarding ticketing. I'll not say it again. But yeah, everything along those lines is great because it's just going to boost the global base, isn't it? The global fan base, and it's exactly what you want to see. And if it's going to hook more fans in from abroad, the more the merrier. One big global family, that'd be fantastic. Yeah. All in favor of it. And again, as you say, it boosts the coffers. And if that gets us the opportunity to go and buy another player, even better. So cool.
Lastly, before we touch on the music, Bobby Clark looks like he might be surplus to requirements at Liverpool. Does that surprise you?
Possibly. I've not seen enough of him. It's really hard for me to comment because I've not seen enough of him to make any form of judgment whether he's a good player or not. I've seen quotes of 11 million. I've seen quotes of 13, 14 million. I've seen that he might go to Leeds on loan and all these various different sort of statements. Is he 19 now?
Yeah. Good player.
So I don't know. As I say, I've been making things up, as I said. So, but he's at that age now where he's going to have to sort of break through. I mean, probably for him, the ideal thing would to be going on loan to Leeds. It's not going to do any harm. If he has a really great season there, then he's going to push his price up for Liverpool, isn't he? I can't comment whether it would be worth us going in to buy him again because, as I say, I've never seen him, so I would just trust the owners in terms of who they target. But I genuinely don't know anything about him as a footballer apart from his dad.
And the Anthony Gordon story won't go away either, Sid. It's still besmirching our club's name with stories coming out. It
is, but he's got a year and a half left on his contract. But I suspect nobody signs for a 3.5-year deal without there being an additional year option to be triggered by the club. So he's probably got 2.5 years, if we're being perfectly honest. I suspect he'll sign a new deal. I suspect he'll sign a new deal, or they'll trigger the 1-year extension. And if he doesn't, he'll go next summer.
Yeah.
I think that's what they'll do. I hope he doesn't because I think he's been fantastic. I think the whole thing's been an absolute farce to even sort of possibly turn his head a little bit with regards to the whole situation. It's been an absolute joke. But I've said my bit with regards to that. I would hate to see him go. As I say, he's a player that there's very few of us thought he was really going to be top draw. And, I was absolutely wrong. Hold my hands up, 100%. He's been magnificent. Should have played, as I said last few weeks, should have played every single game for England. And would have probably been a game changer, if in my opinion. And he'd be very difficult to replace. The one thing I have seen is I've seen us linked with Eze if he was to go. My personal choice would be go and buy Eze and stick Anthony Gordon on the right wing. And there's your wing situation solved because Eze is top draw as well. And then you've got two. And Gordon's right-footed. And when he has played on the right, he's looked equally as magnificent, equally as good. And they could switch over. That would be my personal choice. Could you imagine Eze, Gordon, and Isak up front? Whoa, lightning, and they all have different attributes.
I keep saying that Harvey Barnes and Gordon should do that anyway. I think that should be something that comes into play.
But Barnes is a big season for Barnes because Barnes has got a lot to prove. I think Barnes is a really good goal scorer, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him score 15 goals this season. I really wouldn't. But I want to see his overall game contribution significantly improve. And don't get me wrong, it sounds daft. It's all well and good putting the ball in the back of the net. That's great. Yeah. All right. But he's on the wing or or attacking left. I want to see him do a little bit more in the game as well, though. So that's my sort of, it's not a gripe. It's what I just want to see him do this year. I think he needs to prove himself a little bit more. but he's got fabulous potential. So
okay, we're going to have a quick ad break, but after the break, we'll be bringing Rob in to discuss a bit of music, and then towards the end of the program, me and Sid are going to have a chat about the season ahead, and we're going to give our predictions.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find their website at skipsandbins.com. Contact us, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website, mrvickys.co.uk. Email info@mrvickys.co.uk. Telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to United Group Travel. They are the Travel and Tourism Award winners in 2024. Their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com or telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. A big thanks to Media Arts. You can find them at www.media-arts.co.uk. And don't forget, we are a podcast. You can find us on iTunes or Spotify or other podcast providers. If you want to help the channel grow, then hit the like button, the little thumb underneath the video, click share and share to your social media, or join the channel for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to take out a one-off payment membership, go to nufcmatters.com and hit membership. And for a £25 fee, you get a scarf, a cup, a pen, and a membership card. You can also put a smartphone over the top of this QR code. It'll take you straight there. And don't forget, we also help the food bank on this channel. NUFCfansfoodbank.co.uk is a website where you can make a virtual donation today.
And it's a big welcome to Rob. How are you, mate?
Very good, Steve. How are you? And how are you, Sid?
good, Rob. Good to see you.
And
Good
you
to
both.
see you.
And you both.
Good to see you, Rob. And as always, here's the album that he's not going to be reviewing today.
Classic.
It is a classic. Those costumes are classics, by the way.
Look at those outfits. Look at the bonnets as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Mate. Good
Good to have
stuff.
a
But I think the clue in what Rob is actually going to review is probably behind him on the screen.
Yeah. Really good. This was a request from a friend of mine called Gary Graham, also a fellow drummer. So this is Kings of the Wild Frontier album by Adam and the Ants, and I'm just thinking about the Ants thing, and I'm just wondering now if it's been used like the Prodigy did, Diesel Power, Ants, Small and Powerful, and I believe that Stuart Goddard dressed like that because it was his own sort of like war against the music industry. I think so. But yeah, this is a follow-up to Darkware's White Socks, which 1979 album. It's absolutely brilliant album, really, really good.
Yeah,
and I think, I think after Darkware's White Socks album, I'm sure Malcolm McLaren took most of the band members from Bow Wow Wow. But Sid, you'll probably, I'm not sure. I think so.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. Yeah.
Yeah, thought that. But yeah, so great album. Just a couple of singles I found in my couple of 45s, and yeah, Young Parisians, just a couple I found. Really, really good. So yeah, I've not heard this album since the early 80s, and again, now you're older, you go back and listen to it, and it's unbelievably good. So it's starting with Dog Eat Dog. This is like a spaghetti western guitar mix with Burundi drums, so half pirate, half Native American. It's absolutely classic song. Vocal harmonies in this song are different level. I mean, again, it's sort of thing you took for granted when you were a kid. You just listened to music. Well, that was quite good. But now when you get deep dive into it, it just opens it up. You've got Ant Music, groundbreaking song. And yes, I used to drum to this on my school desk with pencils. I still do it, actually. And so does Gary Graham. I went to see him a couple of weeks ago, and most of us were sitting drumming on the table to this song. It's basically a song about, forget about the rest. Adam and Ants, we're here to stay, unplug the jukebox. And, he's making like a statement. It is a statement song for him. And you've got Feed Me to the Lions, Marco Perrone, outstanding. Again, I've heard his name popping up over the years, but not paid much attention, but unbelievable. Outstanding. There's so many layers to this song. Good mid-tempo song. Again, percussion, brilliant. It's a really, really good song. Then you've got Los Lancheros. Really like how Adam rolls his R's on this. It's quite a fun song. There's like ricochet bullets going on this. It's quite funny. It's just one of these harmless fun songs. I think it's, again, experimental. It's okay. It sounds decent on the album, but it's quite funny. You've got Ant Invasion, very sinister sort of sounding song on this one. Really meaty bass playing, post-punk feel, quite gothy. Obviously, it's a brilliant song to me. Really good, quite dark song, that one. Got Killer in the Home. Again, Marco Perrone does what he's doing best. Again, the drum work, I think it was Gary Tibbs, I'm not too sure. The tribal drums, that's right up my street, honestly, it really is. Rolling bass playing again, subtle guitar chords. I think less is more with Adam and the Ants. Nobody's overplaying anything. It just sits in the balance, is absolutely bang on. You got side 2, that's right, side 2, Turn the Vinyl Over. Kings of the Wild Frontier, drums again. Again, I still walk about, I drum on my chest and my stomach all the time throughout my flat. Bass again, absolutely brilliant. Again, I forgot how good this was. Like I was saying, I've not listened to this since, primary school, going into high school. The lyrics as well. It's funny, what's a new royal family, a wild nobility, we are the family. I used to think it was we are the family, we want no military. I think we've all done that. When you listen to the words and you pick them up. I didn't have smash hits at the time to, pick up on the lyrics there. But you've got the Magnificent Five. Again, Marco on this one, dark. I just don't think he gets enough credit in the music world in general. It's not my favourite song on the album, but Marco's is playing, so it makes it for me. It's a standout song for him, for me personally. You've got Don't Be Square, Be There. More of a disco feel to this one. It's very tacky, it's very cheesy. Nice chord direction on this one. Key changes are quite good. It's unusual, but it works well. Again, there's a couple of songs in it I think are a bit tacky, cheesy, but it's fine. This sit on the album well. Jolly Roger, I remember singing this as well at school. I forgot about this song. I mean, who never went round with Paladid at the playground singing this song? The school playground. I think this was my favourite album song on the album. Classic. Again, people go and listen to this again, and it's one of those songs that I forgot about that. How good was that? And then just listen to the Ants again. Brilliant. Then you got Making History, sort of scratch guitar intro, good tom work again. Nice bass just takes over gently, just sort of underneath the drums. It's a bit bizarre, but I love the experimental directions on this album. I mean, honestly, it's pretty groundbreaking when I listen to it now. And you've got the last song, it's track 12. Brilliant song again. Easily could have been played in goth clubs today. Slimelight, Torture Garden, that sort of thing. Fetish clubs. That's the image I get in my head anyway. Maybe that's just me. But that's it. But I absolutely love to listen to this album again. I've listened to it a few times. It's just brilliant listening to it again. But thanks, Gary, for recommending it to me. And obviously, Sid, when I met you for the first time, you were wearing your Adam and the Ants t-shirt as well. But yeah. Yeah, it's brilliant. Again, that's getting a 9 out of 10 for me, but I forgot how good they were. I took them for granted, and it's one of those bands, like you say, like Squeeze, right? Squeeze, yeah, Cool for Cats up the junction. There's more to bands. Adam and Ants, Ant Music. There's more to these bands, more to them, honestly. Post-punk, definitely for me. Absolutely brilliant. Really good. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
good
great
stuff.
album, and so different to the first one, because the first one's very much one of the early indie albums with unusual guitars.
Yeah,
brilliant band. I've seen the original lineup by the member who passed, sadly, Reform, and they did the whole of Dirt Wears White Socks live. It was fantastic.
Great album.
With Adam singing. It was just brilliant.
Yeah.
And then the second half, he did the Kings of the Wild Frontier. It was just superb.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen them so many times as a band. It's every time brilliant. Absolutely top notch. Can't wait to go and see him again this year.
Really he's still touring. He's still on the go, isn't he?
Looks really good. He's sort of trimmed down, looks superb, and just magnificent. And you know what? I love it. You go there, everyone's dressed up. There's loads of white stripes everywhere. Everyone's got the sort of the army jackets on, or dressed up as this sort of highwayman, and just brilliant. Love all of that. And you could argue very much because he was arguably certainly one of those big sort of pop rock stars in where he crossed over rock and pop. He was probably one of the first big ones since Mark Bolan to do that, because mostly you were either pop or you were this, and he sort of managed to sort of cross both fields. Brilliant. Love him. But there you go. Excellent. Great album.
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay, Sid, what are you bringing us today?
Right, well, my mind's sort of tinged with sadness because I've gone with one of my good friends is terminally ill, unfortunately, and we must have been to about 500 concerts together at least over the last 15 years or so. And his two favourite bands are Metallica and Status Quo, which is quite a contrast, I have to say. And I've gone with Status Quo Live from 1977. And the reason why I say that is we were lucky enough to, he's virtually saw every gig when the original lineup reformed in 2013, known as the Frantic Four. And Craig went to literally every gig on that tour. I think he missed one or something ridiculous. And I went to, over the 2 years, and I went to 3 of them, twice in Glasgow, and I went to the last ever one with him in Dublin, which was brilliant. Fantastic gig. But the Glasgow gigs were just immense. The atmosphere was out of this world. And what they basically did is they virtually did the whole of the live album from 1977. So it was just a sort of almost not a reimagining, just basically repeat of that album, even with the same introduction. The first time I saw the Glasgow Academy, but these were recorded at the Glasgow Apollo in 76. It's just a great live album. It's 92 minutes long. There's no overdubs on it. Rick Parfitt used to love the album. Francis Rossi hates the album because he says, I just hear all the mistakes on it, which is really, really harsh. The only criticism I have of this album is it's a little bit muddy in the mix, and it really could have been mixed a lot better. But it is brilliant. A band who live at the peak of their powers. There's hardly any hits on it. There's not rocking all over the world or anything like that's on it. None of those hits. There's only a couple of hits on it. So you've got Francis Rossi, Rick Parfitt, Alan Lancaster, John Coughlin. So the Frantic Four, as they were called. You've got supplemented a little bit by Andy Bounds on keys and Bob Young on harmonica. It's just a great album. Kicks off with the Steamhammer song Junior Whaling, which is just brilliant after the fantastic intro. We've then, with the guy speaking, we've then got Backwater and Is There a Better Way? And these are just great songs. And what it tells you is Quo, probably along with ZZ Top, are the best boogie bands out there. There's probably 2 or 3 great boogie bands, and Quo are Britain's greatest boogie band, in my opinion, sort of boogie rock. We've got Francis singing In My Chair, which is just brilliant. And Francis' guitar playing, by the way, is exceptional. He's a great guitar player. We've got some other terrific songs. Little Lady, most of the times, like a big sing-along. 4,500 times is 16 minutes long on the album. A big giant guitar jam, but it's brilliant. Roll Over, Lay Down, classic boogie. My favorite track on the album is Big Fat Mama, which is really quite heavy rock based, and you've got Rick singing it, and it's brilliant. You've got a couple of hits on it. You've got Caroline's on there. Then you've got Bye Bye Johnny, the Chuck Berry song. So that would be the CD, but the album's a little bit longer. You've got Rain, Don't Waste My Time, and then the Doors cover Roadhouse Blues. It's an absolutely sensational album. It really is. Go and listen to it. But if you get the chance, there is on streaming, the 2013 gig has been uploaded on a lot of platforms. And that's the one I would go with because you hear what the crowd are like. Along with the Specials concert, when the Specials reformed in 2009, Status Quo in Glasgow 2013 and 2014 are the loudest gigs I've ever been to in terms of the crowd. I've never heard crowds like it. You just heard everyone go, whoa, and the place was absolutely rocking. First gig, I was downstairs. You could feel the bass. The band were proper 70s loud. So they were really, really loud. You could feel the band thumping through your chest. I didn't really know any of the songs hardly because I was never really a big album fan of theirs. I just knew the singles. I knew them obviously the following gigs, and it absolutely knocked my socks off how good they were. The following year in Glasgow, we were upstairs in the balcony, and I kid you not, the balcony was shaking. It was genuinely moving with people bouncing up and down. I thought the floor was going to collapse. I thought I thought the whole venue was going to cave in. They're nothing short of that classic lineup, the Frantic Four, nothing short of brilliant. And some of the happiest gigs I'll ever think about, especially going with Craig. So yeah, it's all about him for me, and just some of the happiest gigs I've ever been to. Sensational, just brilliant. I can't speak any more about them. Just brilliant. So superb gigs. The videos are available online as well. You can go and watch them. Highly recommend them. Proper 70s rock, proper boogie, brilliant.
Great stuff. And you always bring us the book as well, Sid. So what are we looking at today?
So I went with Francis's book. I talk too much, which is it's quite a weird one because he seems like a cold fish at times. He says, "Oh, I don't really think that much about Rick after him passing," which is a bit of a weird thing to say. I thought, and then recently he says, "Oh yeah, I dream about him a lot," so contradicting himself a little bit. If you get the chance to go and watch him, he is great with anecdotes. He's got lots and lots of funny stories. Very funny. One that I really like, and I'll tell you it very briefly, is he talks about doing Top of the Pops. And then one of the girls from Legs & Co. comes out with a big fur coat out. She shouts over him to come over, and all of a sudden she flashes open her coat and she's got nothing on underneath. and basically that's where he wrote the song Go Proposing, based upon that event. So yeah, he's got lots of very, very funny anecdotes. He's a great banter. And of course, Rossi Ice Creams, which sometimes goes around here, is all based upon his family down in London. So he's part of that sort of ice cream emporium sort of group. Well, brilliant. Good crack.
Great stuff as always. Rob, thanks for your time, mate. And look forward to which album you bring to us next week. But until then, mate, have a good week. See you soon.
Thanks,
Take care, mate.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Great to have Rob on, as always. Yep. Adam and the Ants, blast from the past there, and still performing to this day. Wonderful stuff. Okay, we've got about 30 minutes left. This is a pre-recorded version of the show. We did record this on Monday, so only a day late. But want to start looking ahead to the new season. We always have a week off before the season starts just to recharge our batteries. So next week, no live shows, plenty of pre-recorded stuff for you, including a few worst 11s, and a couple of those were the days. Obviously, the Amigos next Friday will be live, though. We'll be back for that. But just want to look ahead to the season, Sid. And interesting for me, this no European football. First of all, is that going to be a blessing in disguise for us, do you think? And will teams such as Aston Villa, who are going to be in the boat that we were in last season, are they going to be hit with the travelling and everything that the Champions League brings with it? Is that going to be like a millstone round their neck like it was round ours last year?
I don't know. It's hard to tell with Villa because they've got a top European manager, a man with European pedigree who's won a number of tournaments. So it's really hard. And I think Villa have bought a lot of players, haven't they? I think they've spent more than any other club in Europe. So Villa's a tough one because I'll be honest, I don't know many of the players that they've bought. So I'm going to be sitting here saying, oh yeah, with this, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with Villa. I still expect Newcastle to end up higher than Villa at the end of the season. Bearing in mind, we were 10 points off them last year with so many injuries. It was unbelievable. And we almost caught them. I expect us, and I'm put myself out there. I think Newcastle will be third next year. I'm going top 3. I really am. I'm really optimistic regarding the season. I think it is a blessing in disguise that we're not playing European football and that sort of Intertoto type league thing. It does nothing for me, as I've already stated on a number of occasions. And we've got all that time to rest players and sort of alternate as well. And therefore, if you've got a fit Isak and you've got Wilson playing hopefully more games than he did last year, then at least you've got that opportunity to switch and mix and match depending on the opposition as well. Defensively, I think we'll be a lot more solid. We've got Kelly in. We're definitely going to get another centre-half in. Now, whether it's Gay or whoever it may be. We don't know. We don't know at this moment. Gay would be fantastic, may I add. He's lightning quick. As long as the player that we buy as a centre-half is quick, that's my big thing. Quick and hopefully reads the game well, then that would be fantastic. But I'm not trying to denigrate Share either, because he'll have a huge say this season. He's nothing short of brilliant. And what I would like to see Eddie Howe do, and I think this is what it looks like he's going to do, is mix the formations up and make it quite fluid, where we might go 3 at the back sometimes, and then they might flip to 4. They might even flip to 5, depending on the opposition during a game or starting off the games that way. And we've got that option because you've got Hall, who looks like he now can play as a holding midfielder, which is fantastic in my opinion. But we might buy a centre-half. Gay's played there. He's played there, as has Share, of course. And he's more than capable of playing there. So we can... I think last year we lost points against teams like Liverpool and some of the top teams by not having a holding midfielder or playing somebody who plays that position in certain games. I'm not advocating every game, because that would be stupid. But certainly 2 or 3 games, 4 games, whatever it might be, there are certain games we needed to have had somebody else to add that extra solidity, if you like, in the middle of the park, and we didn't have it. And I think we may well have that this season. So that's good. Optimistic, though. I mean, I think hopefully we'll buy well. We've got to get a right winger. It's essential we get a right winger who's as good as Anthony Gordon on the other side. As I said, Eze, I've already said Eze would be my top choice and switch Gordon over. But if we get somebody equally as good, absolutely brilliant. Cannot wait for that. That will be magnificent. We've got the young kid, Sela. We don't know what he's like. Everybody's seen the clips. He looks a little bit like Ekitike. He looks a bit like Isaac, sort of type of player. I've listened to Antonio Mango, who I really respect, a young lad who's a big Newcastle fan. And his research for young players is second to none. Newcastle should go and sign him up as one of the chief scouts, in my opinion. And he said he needs to work on his first touch and his hold-up play is not great. But remember, he's 20 years of age, 21 now. He's just had his birthday. And you've got a player there who's going to learn from Isaac and he's going to learn from Wilson. 2 different players. Wilson's your old school Les Ferdinand type centre forward, old-fashioned number 9. And then you've got Isaac, a more contemporary, different style. If you can learn off those 2 players, then you've got a real chance. So I think there could be a real great buy. And the way I look at it as well, I'd much rather him than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. May I just put that out there? So quite excited by that as well. I think it's all about the buys. But even with the current squad, I would expect Newcastle to be 4th. We've got Tonali there now as well. His English is really good, apparently. So that's a huge barrier that's been removed. And he's lightning quick and he adds something different to the team. So I'm really, really excited and really optimistic about the forthcoming season. Most importantly, I want to win a trophy. Do
you think we will? I've put a daft bet on. I got 1,500 to 1 for Newcastle to win the treble.
Treble.
God
loves it. God loves an optimist. I've gone with. I would love us to win any trophy, but I mean, if it was the League Cup, I'd be thrilled. Absolutely thrilled. Any of them, FA Cup, obviously. The League Cup would be nice because then you've done the whole lot. But the League Cup would be great. That would be my number 1 choice. Obviously, I'd love to win the league, of course. But I really don't mind any of them. I just want to see us win something. I'm in my mid-50s. I would like to see us win a trophy before I peg it. And I think the first trophy is the most important trophy. Once you've got over that line, like the golf recently with the majors, and you've got... is it Sheffley? Now that he won his first, he's won his second. And that's the way it works. Once you've got the confidence of winning something, it becomes a habit. And you've got that mentality and that winning streak. And it's not something that you've collapsed over and turn into a pack of cards or a jigsaw, the old phrases. You're able to sort of march on. And that's what we need to do, is get over that sort of line and win something. And we've got the personnel to do it. At the minute, we've got 2 or 3 genuine world beaters in the team. We may have 4 if Tonali turns out to be the way that I expect him to be. But I'm optimistic. I'm dead optimistic because I look at some of the other teams. Liverpool, I think they're the unknown force this season. They're the unknown force. I think Arsenal this year, if they get a centre forward, they're going to be very, very hard to beat. They're possibly title winners if they get a good quality centre forward. But I mean, City, look, haven't bought anybody yet, and Liverpool, I just don't know. I just genuinely don't know what's going to happen with Liverpool. I expect us to be higher than Villa. I expect Spurs to have a bit of not a great season at all. I think they were found out 2/3 of the way through the season. I think they were found out. You cannot just keep playing that high press and have your team on the halfway line and not expect teams just to hump the ball over the top and run past you. That's just crazy. That's exactly what every team seemed to do. So I'm really optimistic. I really am. We just need to make our away form better. Our home form was terrific last season. Get the away form sorted, and we have a real chance. And who's to say, come February, March, or even January, when the window's open, that we're not in the shout to win the title, because the fixture list is really good. Mm-hmm. Who's to say we're not? Yeah, okay. I might be clutching at a huge straw, but who's to say it's not? And if we get the momentum, then we have a real chance. We have a real chance. So, yeah, optimistic.
I think we're going to break our trophy duck. I do. I think this is the season. I am full of optimism. And our first game, of course, as I say, because we're not doing live shows until a week on Friday. Saturday, the 17th of August, Southampton come to St James's Park. It's a home game to kick off with things. So I'll get your prediction, Sid. You'll be the first person to give a prediction for Southampton at home.
5-0.
Wow. I was expecting something like 1-0 or 2-1, but you've gone in with a 5-0 win. Newcastle to go 5-0. Do you think he'll start Tonali?
Well, he can't. He's not allowed to play. He's not allowed to play.
You're right. So, in that case, who's he going to start in the midfield?
I think he'll start Longstaff, but I would start Willock, personally. But I think he'll start Longstaff. Yeah. I think obviously Joe Linton and Bruno are givens. So I think that's what I do. I think he'll start Lloyd Kelly as left back, as I've already said. I think he'll start Dan Burn as centre half. I think he'll start Shea right centre half, obviously, and Livramento as right back. Isak, Gordon, and Murphy. Unless we've got somebody, even if we've got somebody signed, I think Murphy will start, because I think it's very late to sort of embed them into the club that quick. Unless it's a Premier League player, then you can throw them straight in. And
they've got to be how fit. They've got to,
that's exactly the phrase, isn't it?
He's not one for chucking somebody straight in, as he said. That's the thing. Songs from the Attic, 1977 is where you can find Sela. Have you got anything coming up?
Well, as I said, I've had technical issues. I've got about 5 or 6 shows all taped at the minute, and I can't upload them. I've got somebody coming next Monday. So my next one is, I think it's the top 10 post-punk albums with me, Jeremy from America, who was ex-Beastie Boys, of course, and then this other guy, Rod, who's lovely. And so that's the next one. And then, we shall see.
Good stuff, mate. Excellent. Look forward to catching up with you again soon, mate. Thanks very much.
Take care, folks. Bye-bye.